Hey, all right. Welcome back. This is Bill Gallagher, principal, Northshore High School, St. Tammany Parish Public School System here in Louisiana. Let's give a big round of applause. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. This is Oscar De La Renta. I don't know how many of you know who Oscar De La Renta is. I see some people shaking their heads. So he is a famous fashion designer. I think that's Oscar De La Renta. I mean, it could just be AI. I don't really know who it is. So this is the maxi dress. In 1968, Oscar De La Renta created the maxi dress, the full-length gown that goes all the way to the floor. I think. My sources are Google and Wikipedia, so you may need to fact check me. I might be making the entire thing up, but I love to participate, whether it's presenting or being presented to. In fact, this summer, I had the opportunity to present at the convention center here in New Orleans, and when we finished that presentation, we were coming down the escalator. I was with two of my teachers, or lead teachers who helped with the presentation, and I was looking up, talking to them as we went down the escalator, and I saw their eyes get huge, and I thought, we must be getting close to the bottom, so I need to turn around to make sure I don't fall. Well, I turned around, and I saw why their eyes were so huge. There was a woman in a maxi dress, and the escalator was consuming her maxi dress. She was stuck at the bottom of the escalator. Her left shoulder was bare because the dress was off of her shoulder. She was being choked almost on her right shoulder. And I'm a high school principal, so you guys know what that means. I am invincible, a hero. I know what to do at all points in time. So as I watched several people go by her, and she's frantically pulling, trying to get her dress out of the escalator, I widened my base into an athletic position. Don't I look athletic right now? Yeah, I thought so too.
Yeah.
And when I got to the bottom, I grabbed hold of her maxi dress, and I yanked in one felt swoop, and it didn't move at all. It was stuck. It was not moving. And in my athletic position, I did not anticipate that the escalator was going to keep moving. So I was not remaining very athletic. And so panic started to set in. And I had no idea what else was going on around me. My teachers who were above me had just scooted by, and I was just yanking. The poor woman looked at me and she said, "It's okay, you can rip it." And I thought, sweetheart, it ripped a long time ago. I mean, it is beyond ripped. Someone came running in and hit the stop on the escalator. So then that beep, beep is going on. So if you weren't already paying attention, everyone is now paying attention. Everyone on the up escalator is looking down, watching me just yanking. And finally, all these thoughts went through my head like, you're supposed to be a hero. You're supposed to be able to do anything. You're supposed to be able to take care of all situations. And who's more embarrassed right now? Her or me? Because I'm the dummy who stopped and said, I got this. And I am just, and what probably took about 15 seconds felt like 15 hours for me until I finally was able to jerk her dress out and she flew off. Up until that point in time, I didn't know what the maxi dress was. The teachers behind me explained when we were helping to tell the story later on what a maxi dress was, and that had gotten caught in the escalator because it was designed to be that long and all these things. I heard somebody say it's your worst nightmare on an escalator. People are scared of that. So many things took place in that small period of time, but I can't recall any of them because the level of communication that was taking place during that maybe less than a minute was so intense and so sporadic and so discombobulated that no one was on the same page. someone way before me should have thought to hit the stoplight button on the escalator to stop her. She probably should have paid a little bit more attention to where she was going. But we weren't in a state where we were communicating well with one another. So everyone was really misunderstanding what was going on. And because there was this tremendous amount of miscommunication or a lack of communication, there was a lack of understanding of what to do in that scenario. How many people have been in that scenario? Have any of you ever had your dress stuck in an escalator when you were going down? Nobody. Has anyone approached someone who was stuck and tried to relieve them of being stuck in an escalator?
I've seen people fall down because they don't understand that the stairs are moving slower than the handle is. Yeah.
But it's that unknown. And it's one of the things I talked about earlier. The unknown throws so many things at us at one time. And when no one knows how to handle it and no one is comfortable with it, it creates chaos. And I don't know what happened really in that moment because it was so chaotic that I have what I think my heroic take on saving that poor woman, when that's probably not really what happened. Somebody else stopped it and it just probably naturally came out when it was stopped and all those things. But in my mind, my take was I was the hero who saved the day. Well, what we live in our educational environment is this professional learning cycle. And, PLC means multiple things in our education world, but for this purpose, the professional learning cycle, and really beyond the educational world, but what we're continually doing, and there's no starting and stopping point necessarily along this cycle. That's the beauty of it, and of any cycle, is you're planning, you're acting, you're then observing and reflecting, and then you're continuing. After that reflection, you begin to plan again. And it's in this cycle that we're able to learn, to teach effectively, to communicate effectively. And what we look at, and I'm not a communication major, I'm the principal of a high school, so that does make me a communication expert. I have 1,600 students, 165 employees. There has to be a variety of ways that we communicate. And depending on which communication expert you're talking to, they'll tell you there's anywhere from 3 to 9 different types of communication. I like to kind of siphon it down to these 5. And these 5 really all are also represented in a lot of what I'm going to talk about, and that is the communication digitally and technology driven, especially in the world of social media that we see with our campus. And I started by saying our students in social media, but in reality, it's our campus. It's not just the students. We're foolish to say that, the students are connected to their phones or their devices and they can't pull away from them. It's the entire community. It's the adults too. We all live in that world of where we can't go without it. We like to stand on a pedestal sometimes and say, the students can't. We can't. We struggle with it ourselves every single day. All of these types of communication are embodied in that technology world. And what you can't see at the bottom of the screen, the markers are for years, and it starts back in 2019 up to 2024, which would be the last data point that we have, because this year, 2025, hasn't completed yet. But this is the usage that our teens, that we're seeing with them with social media right now. And that's my own alarm at 10:34 every day. The second alarm has to ring to get kids to class. So I interrupted myself. These are the sites that our kids are continually using, and not just our kids, but we are using them as well. And some of the things that you may see here may be a surprise, but I think what's no surprise is that there are so many different sites that our students and our young people are routinely visiting and utilizing. And these are some of the things that I think we take for granted. We know that our kids are using social media and are using technology at an accelerated rate. But by 10 years old, 40% of students have a cell phone, don't have access to one or know how to use one. They have one. By age 14, 91% of kids have their own cell phone. 95% of teens have regular use to it, and you can see on and on the statistics of this is daily usage of those sites. YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram. That's the percentage of our kids that are on a daily basis visiting those sites, over 4.5 hours a day. Now, they're in school where they're not allowed to have access to those phones for 7 to 8 hours a day. And if they have any other extracurricular activity during the day, basically the entire remainder of their waking hours are spent on their devices. So when we start looking at technology and effectively communicating with our young people, why are we fighting what they're already using to communicate with one another? I believe that we should be finding ways to utilize what they're already comfortable with, mastering, and using all the time to be able to effectively communicate with them. And technology does not discriminate. And what I mean by that is there is sometimes a perception that, well, maybe my students or maybe this socioeconomic group or this percentage of the population doesn't have access to. Data doesn't support that. What the data supports is that across all races, ethnicities, socioeconomic population areas, everyone does have access. It's over 90%. Over 90%. And if you walk around on a school campus just on a regular day and you take a look at the student population and what they appear to have, meaning the clothes that they're dressed in, the technology that is available to them, and you compare that to what the socioeconomics is of that school, they don't line up. They don't line up. I can tell you, and I know the other administrators in the room and educators in the room can tell you, you see kids that are in line for free lunch that are wearing Nikes, have smartwatches, and have a phone in their back pocket. Because technology is a non-negotiable for everyone now. Technology is a non-negotiable. We have kids who don't get 3 square meals a day, but they have cell phones. It's a non-negotiable. It is considered by society to be a basic need. So everyone has access to it. So some of the things that we talk about is how do we move with our population to be able to meet them where they are? When you think about who you're working with or who you're working for on a daily basis, how are you meeting their needs in regards to the technology that they're already comfortable with? Because I think that's an important piece as we start talking about the different reaches and the different pieces of technology that we're going to use. What pieces are they using and where are you with your comfort level with those pieces? So I'll give you an example. We talk about, and I know Justin talked about some of the ways that they communicate on their campus. almost every school has a system in place for announcements, right? And you want to have student ownership of announcements because theoretically that increases the buy-in, it increases the participation, it increases the chances that the students will be paying attention. So you have students doing announcements. It may be over a loudspeaker for everyone to hear. It may be on the TVs that are spread out across your campus. It may be on smart boards that are in every classroom. But are students paying as much attention to that as they are to their social media for the 4.5 hours for the rest of the day that they're on there? They're not. They're not. So why don't, one of the words that I've heard used in the conversations we've had today and in the presentations thus far is leverage. Why aren't we leveraging that? What can we do to leverage that? So one of the things that we do is we use social media to reach our students. It's one of the things that I specifically do. Every single school morning, I get on TikTok and Facebook and I speak to our students. Now, not every one of my 1,600 students listens to my TikTok or to my Facebook, but not every one of my 1,600 students listens to the morning announcements either, or the afternoon announcements, or to what the teacher says, or reads the emails, or checks their Google Classroom like they're supposed to. So all I'm doing is leveraging and utilizing another tool. And to be perfectly honest, it's not just with our students. It becomes a tool for our parents too. Because what we start to see is our students will come up and say, "Ooh, Mr. Gallagher, you were on my For You page today." Okay, it's better than some of the other things that might be on your For You page. The parents will see it on Facebook. Because let's be honest, Facebook is for the old people, TikTok is for the younger people. As soon as we get comfortable with something, then the next thing appears, right? So if I miss an announcement or don't do a morning, then the kids don't really tell me anything. The parents will give me feedback via Facebook because they're using it as well to get their information. So we start looking at what are the different ways that we can make sure we're reaching all of our populations. And we feel like that is the gateway to going to that next step, because social media is driven in reality by a form of AI. What you see on your social media is based on algorithms. We don't process it that way because it's more used for entertainment, and it's short bursts of films or clips or music, whatever it may be. But it is, for most, if not all, of our younger generation, their first exposure to AI. And honestly, for our adults, who can many times be the ones who are a little bit worried and a little bit more apprehensive about getting into the weeds with AI, it's their first exposure to it. So just making people realize that that is something that they are already utilizing and that they already have access to, in many ways, is that first important step in getting started and embracing using AI and finding a way to involve it in our everyday school life and everything that we're doing when we're communicating with one another. And I like to think that I coined this phrase. I might have heard it somewhere else, but I use it all the time. Communication is like love. It works best when given and received. It's so important and so often overlooked, the listening part of communication. And I think that one of the biggest challenges we have is that when we're given new information, when we're presented with something that is not our own, or that we were not brought up with, we have trouble listening to that. And listening is an integral part of communicating. People that communicate really well notice when you're not listening to them. And when you're not listening to them, you're not communicating well with that person. When you're watching people every single day and you're seeing the way that they are communicating with these things, if you're not embracing this and utilizing it and familiarizing yourself and using it as a tool, then you're not listening and you're not effectively communicating. And that's one of the biggest things that we try to drive home each and every day. Thank you guys very much.